My speech is on recreational marijuana. Marijuana has a bad reputation for being this petrifying gateway drug. However, every drug is a gateway drug. This is because of the horrible propaganda that's spreading around since the 1970s when marijuana was classified as a Schedule I drug. Now people tend to associate it with horrid drugs such as meth, heroin, and Molly, which are in fact man-made drugs and not a natural plant that was Mother Nature made. Personally, I don't see anything wrong with using a plant that was placed on this earth to resolve issues such as seizures, epilepsy, nausea, increased appetite for anorexic people, and even a basic headache. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean you have to smoke the plant to feel relief from these symptoms, but you can use CBD, which won't get you high, but will still relieve the issue from these conditions. In the end, if people look at the big picture, if recreational marijuana becomes legalized, then the well-being of humans will increase exponentially. My first main point is marijuana should be legalized to reduce addiction to pharmaceutical pills. According to the National Institute on Drugs from 2011, an estimated 4 to 6% who misused opioid prescriptions switched to heroin, and about 80% of those who used heroin misused opioid prescription drugs. If marijuana dispensaries were available to people who were taking opioids, they may be more inclined to use marijuana as an alternative to relieve their anxiety or pain. The opioid user can even pick a CBD strand that will give them the same effect but won't get them high and still relieve their anxiety and pain. Luckily, unlike many other drugs, there's no risk of fatal overdose from use of marijuana, and heavy use doesn't lead to life-threatening withdrawal symptoms. My second main point is the health risks on using marijuana. The clearest risk factor of using marijuana under the age of 25 is because the brain is still developing, and marijuana can jeopardize this. Another health risk is it having a negative effect on your lungs, and if smoked, marijuana might induce hallucinations. If your hallucinations don't subside after use, it's unclear if marijuana triggers an early mental disease like schizophrenia, or it's just a mere indication of an underlying disorder. On the bright side, the condition has been caught early. My third main point is the benefits of marijuana. It can prevent seizures, epilepsy, and nausea. One article I read called Marijuana as Medicine, The Science Beyond Controversy, talked about a man who had cancer in his lungs, pancreas, and liver. Once he started chemo, he was sicker from the chemo than the actual cancer. However, his wife claimed when he only smoked 2 puffs of the drug, he had an increased appetite and walked in and out of chemo wearing a smile on his face, and didn't have to smoke marijuana until the next day. Marijuana targets the cannabinoid system, which has receptors all over the body, which release endocannabinoids that also act on these receptors. Researchers might be able to prevent seizures and epilepsy if they identify the cannabinoid pathways that trigger epilepsy. Then they might be able to figure out a way to use marijuana to target this hotspot and prevent epilepsy and seizures. This would most definitely be considered a breakthrough in medical history. In conclusion, with marijuana's incredibly low health risk and high benefits, it will increase the well-being of humans drastically. However, I advise you to do your own research regarding the benefits of marijuana. Your research will show you that the media has been shoving negative propaganda into society's throat for years and years and years. If you do your research on your own, I recommend looking at reputable sites that end in .gov or .edu, because those are more reliable than .coms or .orgs. However, I advise you strongly to do your own research because we all have to think for ourselves. However, thank you for listening to my speech, and I hope I persuaded you a little bit. Thank you.